Hey there. Good afternoon. Um, this is Sherry Johnson from Sherry Johnson Coaching and the Love and Loss podcast. Today, I want to chat with you about a question that I get a lot, but it kind of comes in many different forms. So, someone in my Facebook group actually asked it a couple of days ago, and she asked me about regret and what to do about regret. But that question can take many different forms. So if you're asking questions like, how do I know when to stop trying to conceive? How do I make decisions about my future when it's so uncertain? What if I regret the decision that I made? Or what if I regret stopping? I think I said that one already. Then you are asking the same question. What if I regret my decision? Itchy nose, sorry. Um, we all wish that we had crystal balls, right? It would make life so much easier. We could see what happens when we make decisions, if we were to make a certain decision. So, what if I decide to stop trying? Will I have a baby naturally? And will I be happy if I don't? That was a huge question that I asked myself after 6 years of infertility and 3 miscarriages. Certainty would make life so much easier, but it also wouldn't give us a chance to grow. Life would actually be pretty boring. I know that it doesn't give you much comfort in your scenario if you're someone who has had a miscarriage and you're dealing with infertility. But bear with me. I'm going to tell you what to do if you're afraid of regretting decisions. So let's talk about the reason that you're feeling this fear about regretting a decision, say to stop trying or to continue trying or whatever that decision might be. You're feeling that way because you haven't accepted where you are today. So let me explain what I mean. As I said, I went through 3 miscarriages and 6 years of infertility in total. And towards the end of those 6 years, I started to question whether we should keep going. And my husband was certainly questioning that long before I was. We had done multiple rounds of IUI, tons of testing. The fertility treatment center that I was going to was over an hour's drive away. We live in a small town. So it was over an hour to get there. So I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, driving to the hospital to get an ultrasound, then over to the clinic to do my blood work, and then back home by 9 to start my work day. And this went on for months of, doing this every couple of days. We got to the point where we were being referred to another clinic for IVF, and that one was 2.5 hours away. So I couldn't even fathom how we were going to manage the appointments and all of that. And the recommendation was for IVF with a donor egg. So we had all kinds of questions going on in our heads, especially once the whole idea of a donor egg was introduced. Were we going to be able to handle that as a couple? Knowing that it wouldn't be my egg, yet it would be my husband's sperm. We questioned, I don't know, just the psychology of that. We questioned the expense of it because in Canada, it's a huge expense. I'm sure it is in the States too. I'm not sure where you're located. Drop that into the comments if you're watching, actually. I would love to know where you're watching from, even if you're watching the recording. Tell me, because I'd love to know where you're from. So again, we were really questioning whether it was the right thing. I was 44 at the time, so I knew that if we stopped trying, there was very little chance that we would conceive naturally. And so I started questioning it, and every person that I spoke to said, do everything you can. You don't want to regret stopping. And I remember even people that I barely knew. By this point, I didn't have any issues telling people when they asked me if I had children. I just said no. We tried. We had 3 miscarriages, and that usually opened up a conversation. And I remember this one woman was telling me she had difficulties as well, and she said just make sure you do everything that you possibly can because you don't want to regret stopping. And of course, if everybody's telling you you're going to regret stopping, you're going to think you're going to regret stopping. And the assumption was that the only thing that I would regret is stopping. And I was almost equally afraid of regretting continuing that journey. I remember reflecting on those 6 years at that point in our journey and thinking the fertility journey is all consuming. It's all you think about. It's, oh my gosh, I'm wearing this like fuzzy sweater and I think it's making my nose itchy. I keep feeling like the fluffs on my face. After 6 years of thinking about conceiving all the time, like when you're the woman, you're thinking, as soon as the month starts, you're thinking, okay, how long is it till I ovulate? When you start getting close to ovulation, then you're like, okay, we need to have sex. We need to have sex. We need to have sex. And then it's, okay, when is my period going to come? Or when am I going to be able to take that first pregnancy test? How long should I wait? How long should I wait? Am I feeling symptoms? I think my breasts are sore. Is that from PMS, or is it because I might be pregnant? Is it you're constantly thinking about it? It's like this whirlwind of thoughts every single month. And that is just, it can be all consuming. And every month is a disappointment when you're going through that. And then if you do get pregnant, there's the roller coaster of the excitement and then the worry of miscarrying again. And I did miscarry 3 times. So I started to wonder if I would just regret the way that I was feeling if I continued to do that for another 1 year or 2 years or even a few months. I wondered if I could just accept where I was at. Could I just be happy, even just for a minute, with what I had? And that got me started. I started to work on doing exactly that. Just being happy for a minute and not thinking about it. And I wrote in my journal, I meditated, I used all of the spiritual tools that I had at my fingertips, and it was a process, but it worked. So if you're wondering whether you'll regret a decision, whether it's to keep going or to stop trying or to do IVF or to not do IVF, whatever that decision is that you're faced with right now, but especially if it could be anything really. It could be anything it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be anything to do with pregnancy or loss. But especially if it does have to do with trying to conceive, what you have to do is accept where you're at. The reason you fear regretting a decision is because you haven't yet accepted your path, what got you to the place where you are now and where you're at. So that's what you have to do first, is you need to figure out a way to accept your life as it is in the present and the path that led you to this point before you can feel comfortable with the decisions that you make about the future. So as I said, I used a specific process to do this, and it's one that I cover in my online program for miscarriage recovery. That's not currently open for enrollment, but it will be soon. So, in the meantime, you are welcome to join the waitlist for that program. And also, I outline the exact process that I use in that program in my free PDF roadmap to navigate grief, which is to navigate grief specifically after a pregnancy loss. And you'll find the link to that, to both of them actually, in the description for this video. So I'll invite you to click on the link for either one of those or both, and so that you can get started on your own journey to releasing the fear that you have around the decisions that you're making in the present. I will leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for joining. I'm very grateful, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.